Yeah.
since we were talking about political correctness earlier, what about Sofia Coppola and avoiding the whole slavery issue in her version of Beguiled?
Yes. Let's talk about that.
You want to end on that? Let's end on that. It's her movie. She can make whatever the hell she wants. Having said that, though, you cannot make in this day and age a Civil War movie where it takes place in the backdrop of the Civil War.
In the South.
In the South, and you cannot have. I mean, in the Don Siegel one, the Clint Eastwood one, there is a slave. There is a slave. You would not know watching this movie. Now, having said that, though, we're not going to use an article on Medium, a wretched website if there ever was one, as our rallying cry. I refuse to do that. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that. But I will say this, though. The criticism is valid, but you did have a great movie a couple of years ago with Britt Marlin called The Keeping Room that had a slave in it about the Civil War, about women during the Civil War. No one talked about that movie, though. No one praised that movie, but we're really quick to come out against Sofia Coppola and say, I do have a problem with it. I'm trying to have it both ways, but yes, she did not want. She's not interested in that. Is that wrong?
Well, okay.
I'm conflicted about that. I'm conflicted, by the way.
I'm not conflicted at all because I really don't have like any kind of like moral outrage, but like I do have like sort of like an artistic outrage, I guess.
Right.
In the sense that, okay, so she said, and I'm not quite quoting her. I don't have the exact quotes here, but she basically said that she didn't feel like, she felt like the inclusion of a black character in the movie would have stolen the focus away from the female empowerment kind of thing that she's doing, which I also think is misguided. And she didn't want to take the focus away. Well, the movie has already been done. You're remaking Don Siegel's The Beguiled. It's already been done, and it wasn't in the original movie. The focus isn't taken away. You could have
included someone. I do. Yeah, I mean, you could have included.
She
someone.
plays. They end up giving a lot of the stuff that the black character in the movie, the original movie, a lot of the stuff that that she does is given to other characters.
Right.
So I just think I don't. All I can say is that maybe she felt personally uncomfortable writing black characters. She's never had a black character in any one of her movies.
Right. That's a great point.
Not one black character in any one of her movies. So maybe she feels uncomfortable writing for them. But the original script is already written. The movie is out there. Just follow the path that he took, they took.
But
I think that's a weak excuse.
It's a weak excuse, but you know what? I'm watching it. I'm thinking, this definitely needs something there. But at the same time, I understand why she did it. I completely understand why she did it. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, maybe maybe not make the movie then, because I don't know how you make a movie about the Civil War in the South in 2017 and not include that. Just some mention at least. I mean. But I do get, on the other hand, I get it, though. I completely understand it. I mean, I just think the knives out for her for this is just, people just want to, I sometimes feel people just want to crucify someone every week. I mean, I hate to say it, I just think they want to crucify. But I'm conflicted about it because at the same, it would have been nice. I mean, we know she's not a racist. I mean, we can honestly say that, although people want to say that she's the most horrible person in the world. But no, I think I agree with what she wanted to do. I thought she felt uncomfortable, and while that may be a weak excuse, I get it because let's say she did it, and then she did it wrong, and people would have just jumped all over her too. You can't win either way.
Maybe that was an issue for her too. She was afraid to do it. She was afraid that people would pillory her over it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know,
and I'm sure it's because it's beyond her realm of experience. I don't know how much experience Sofia Coppola has in her own life. I mean, she seems to have been, certainly she's very privileged and probably a little sheltered. So, and I think her movies reflect that. But when she said, my version of the Beguiled is, I wasn't interested in exploring the racial aspect, only the one concerning gender. So when she said that, I thought to myself, well, the original Beguiled must be the one that tackles racism. So I watched the original Beguiled, and I was like, no, this is about gender. It's about gender politics. It's the same goddamn movie. Why bother?
Yeah. I
mean,
don't understand it. I really do find it. I don't find it morally reprehensible. I just find it like, what? Like, why would you do that? Like, just remake the movie.
Yeah.
remake the movie. Have the same characters.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just one of these things. Look, at the end of the day, you know, it's a good movie. In a couple of years, they'll go back and talk about the Eastwood one. I don't know if this is the one. To be very honest. It's a good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie, but it's just we'll always, when we talk about the Beguiled, I think we will talk about the Don Siegel one, not hers.
And honestly,
I think so too. I do think it's distasteful to whitewash it. So I mean, I do think she was distasteful in that respect.
As a female empowerment movie too, I mean, like, you know what's? And listen, let me just be upfront about this. I haven't watched the new Beguiled. Okay, so let me just say this, but I do also, you know, you can answer this, Jerry. You know, in the original movie, all of the quote unquote heroines in the movie are kind of reprehensible people. They're all shitty, and there's nobody in there that you're like, wow, I really admire that person. Or no, they're all crappy. So
and they're all led by their loins too.
Yeah,
which is another thing. Is that very feminist? You know.
Yeah, exactly. So what's empowering about the movie? How does the movie reflect?
Empowering. I mean,
that's what she wanted, right? She wanted
that. I mean, look. You know, I don't know as three men, I don't know how comfortable I feel about talking about female empowerment. Because then it's another thing that I can't stand. The whole idea of social justice warriors, which is another thing that I just think has just been is a lot of BS at the end of the day too. So I just don't know. I don't see the female empowerment. It is a study in women getting their revenge. That's completely justifiable and that's understandable in terms of the story. But you can honestly just look at that. This is just people. You know, the Colin Farrell represents the North, and if you really, or Clint Eastwood represents the North, whatever, the man represents the North and the South. Here they're trying to defend their values this is their way of fighting the war, if you will. This is their way of fighting the war. So they're doing their part. So it's definitely, you could take it as a movie that's very pro-South in its own way. Now, as far as gender and female empowerment, I don't know. I got to be honest, it's not that different from the original one.
Here's an interesting. This would make it interesting because you can possibly look at the Don Siegel Beguiled the same way that you look at something like Straw Dogs. If Don Siegel's Beguiled is being held up as this kind of virtue of feminism, when it's really about all these women that are driven crazy and murderous because they can't get their rocks off, you know, and the same way with Straw Dogs, some people view it as a strong feminist viewpoint because she actually enjoys the rape. Those elements of it are what make those movies so provocative and controversial and divisive. It would be interesting, and not the least reason of which is that they were both directed by men. It would be interesting to see a woman direct her own version of that.
Right.
And so I would understand coming at a remake from that vantage point.
But my understanding is that in this new Beguiled that the story isn't radically changed. It's
no.
A lot of the anger comes from the fact that they feel that a lot of the women feel used or jealous or whatever. So if there's nothing very that screams female empowerment about all of that. Really.
No, I mean it's like you could say this is when Zack Snyder said Sucker Punch was about female empowerment. Okay, not that bad, but you could. I mean, you could certainly say that. No, it's a remake. It is a remake in every sense of the word, minus obviously the elements we've been talking about. But yeah, it's about a lot of hard up women.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush, no pun intended. But it's about a lot of hard up.
And
women.
a little girl that's mad because he kills her turtles. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot. They killed. Yeah, I forgot all about that. The other thing though I will say this about the Beguiled. When we talk about cinematography Oscars at the end of the year, though, this certainly deserves. It's one of the most beautifully shot movies I've seen this year.
Yeah.
Very. I mean, that you gotta hand. It's the one thing that really stands out about this movie is it's very beautifully shot. But going back to Sofia Coppola, if we ever really want to understand her, all you have to do is watch her masterpiece, Marie Antoinette. I mean, her first 3 movies are her to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all autobiographical. Let's be very honest. When we talk about Sofia Coppola, we're talking about Poor Little Rich Girl.
Yeah. I mean, I always go back to. Now, I hated this piece of film, and I think it's one of the worst things maybe the worst thing that Coppola has ever directed. But that little short film in New York Stories.
It's the worst of the 3 for sure.
That she wrote and stars in, that piece. I think that piece is very indicative of like what her life is really like. I think, and but yeah, I agree that the other movies, particularly Lost in Translation Somewhere and Marie Antoinette, have very much to say about her life too.
But yeah, there's also something about going back to the Lost in Translation. Let me ask you, it's been a long time since I've watched Lost in Translation. It takes place in Tokyo. Are there any Japanese people in the movie?
That's a good question. I'd have to go back and take a look at that too.
Okay,
they are all tangential characters. So Lost in Translation is really about the uncomfortability of being the other.
Yeah,
right. And in its own way, I think that speaks to her sheltered existence.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you go to these places and everything, and you don't venture really that far out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And there's been that criticism of her movies, really, at least up till The Bling Ring, that she does not venture outside her comfort zone as a filmmaker. She sticks in that whole loneliness theme, and she very rarely goes out of that. That's always been a criticism of her filmmaking.
Yeah.